Sure. The question is, we're all busy, and when we get the list, do we relearn excerpts, or do we start from scratch, or whatever? Is that right? For me, I think Karen's example of going to Kinko's and making copies of the excerpts is really important. I mean, obviously, we all can play the opening of pictures at an exhibition by memory, but how well do you actually know it? And one of my things is I do something similar to Karen. What I do actually is when I'm photocopying excerpts, I will actually photocopy about 8 to 10 bars before the excerpt. Now, obviously, Mahler 5 pictures, you won't be able to do that. But yeah, right. But the thought process is that you are actually inside of the music as you're preparing it, and that's a really big thing for me, especially with my students, because they can come in and they can bang out whatever excerpt, and I'm like, so and so, I don't hear the orchestra around you when you play, and if I don't hear it, that means you're not hearing it, and there's no way that the committee's going to hear it, and so I preach to them, like, I need to hear audibly the orchestra in this room while you play that excerpt. So going back to your question, if an excerpt is very familiar, we're not like relearning. I mean, F is always first valve, right? So like you're not going to have to wonder what the fingerings are or whatever. And usually it's just kind of rehashing like, oh yeah, I'm not very good at this excerpt or whatever, or I'm still not very good at this excerpt. But it's not, I wouldn't say relearning so much as like just kind of doing that extra 5% of being better than everybody else at the audition, and just doing it like, okay, here's this excerpt, I need to play it better than everybody else, and better style, better articulation, better dynamics. If you're playing, let's say, something that I've had to play a couple times, Beethoven Violin Concerto, second trumpet. There's a very soft, low A passage that goes on for quite a while, and it's very soft, and you can't airball it, and my thing is, okay, everybody's going to come in and play it soft. You have to play it softer. So that's what I practice. I practice like not necessarily going to the extremes, but saying like, okay, I need to do something on this list that I get that is different from everybody else, because I don't want them to win. I want to win. And I want to do whatever it takes, like I was talking about before, to win this thing. And so I got to play that excerpt softer than everybody else. My articulation has to be better than everybody else. And it's a passion for music too. I mean, it's not just playing softly, seeing that on a list and say, well, that has to be really soft. No, it's like, it's about the music, and it's about, perking the ears above the committee. Like, how can I take this excerpt so that they've heard 150 trumpet players already today, and how can I take that excerpt and say, I want to do something with this that even if the committee, they may not even like it, it may not be, how the orchestra plays it, but it makes them listen. And then you have their attention after that.
For me, as I did mention, the whole Kinko's idea. So I go there, I feel like we're gonna get some money from Kinko's after all of this, what do you think? No, that I actually just like to, I have PDFs on my computer that either I've scanned in or that I've scanned in, because I own the parts. But I get blank sheets, and every single time I find something new that I didn't hear before, or that I've forgotten since the last time I played it. But for most things, I just took an audition with the Lyric Opera. I didn't know most of those excerpts. And what that reminded me is that it is so great, even excerpts that you do know. There's so many different ways. There's Spotify, there's Pandora, I don't even know if you can specify, but whatever. There's plenty of places, iTunes, whatever, that you can find these things and find new inspirations. I'm playing Pulcinella next week, and there's one recording that I didn't realize this really great trill, and this guy does it in a certain way. To be honest, I don't know who it is because it's a foreign orchestra. I should probably look it up, but it inspired me in a different way to now play it in a way that either feels easier or feels more musical or puts a better image in my head the next time I have to play it. So for me, I would highly suggest listening to music. It's actually, I didn't write much down on this piece of paper to remind to say to you, but as you can see, I have my headphones here, and I listen to music all the time. And I'm not just talking trumpet concertos, I'm not just talking excerpts or anything. I listen to everything, whatever kind of gets me excited to play my trumpet, or anything. I mean, I've played in rock bands, I've played, like as I told you, I played bugle calls, not probably as awesome as him, but a lot of really cool things, and to just love it in a way that's brand new, I think, is kind of what I aim for every time I start with a new book that's blank. So.
And I don't know if there's anybody with the same experience that I had, like when I came the first time I heard a discussion like this. The first time I heard that discussion, I didn't even know what like standard orchestral excerpts were. I knew that pictures existed. I couldn't have sung it to you. And I knew Mahler 5 because it was loud, and I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. It was like the end of the world. And that's it. I think I knew those two. And I didn't know them. I definitely couldn't have played them well, but I didn't know they were out there. Maybe in the late 90s, somebody who wrote for ITG put together a list that you should be able to, get through the website of the most requested orchestral excerpts and put them in order of the most requests. That's a great place to start. And, like they're saying, fall in love with the piece, figure out how the excerpt fits into it, and then, broaden your horizons, listen to the different groups playing it. But in this case, I'm just trying to, if there's anybody in here that's of a similar, or of where I was at when I would have heard my first discussion, I had no idea. And so people were like, Pulcinella? I'm like, it must be an Italian piece. I had no idea it was one of Stravinsky's phases. So be out there and be curious. And that's where using your resources that are available to you can really come in handy.